Hiranyakashipu Tonu Bringa Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadesha Hare Jai Jagadesha Hare Jai Jagadesha Hare Avakara Kamala Bhare Kamabhuta Sringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanaving Jai Jagadesha Hare Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadesha Hare Jaya Jagadesha Hare Jaya Jagadesha Hare Keshavadrita Jaya Jagadesha Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Bolo! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nrsingadev, 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 Jaya Nrsingadev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Singhadev Bhagavan ki, Prahlad Maharaj ki.
Hare Krishna. Once again, thank you everyone for coming to Bhaktivedanta Manor. There's currently prasadam being served in the Haveli. So if you haven't had so already, please do take some prasadam. But also importantly, we also had food for the soul right here in the temple room. We will be having a Bhagavad Gita class on the topic entitled The Trouble with Time, given by Bhakta Kamal Prabhu. So just give us a few minutes while we set up over here. And if everyone can face towards the door where the speaker will be seated. And thank you very much for coming and hope to see you again very soon.
Hare Krishna. The Aarti Kirtan was led by this young man, Rasaraj. He's a homegrown person here, born and brought up at the manor.
Hare Krishna.
Always, always.
Sorry.
Take care of yourself. Hare Krishna. Yeah, no, that's fine. It's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today at the Bhaktivedanta Manor. So we're going to talk a little bit about a topic from the Bhagavad Gita. And the topic of today is the trouble with time. So does anyone here struggle with time? Just raise your hands. No time, right? Same. I was running late today. No time. And even now, time is running out. So I'm going to have to make this a quick class. So, yeah, this is one of the topics of the Bhagavad Gita, actually. So we'll explore this today, and hopefully with your help, we can gain a little time, hopefully, back. So before we begin, I'm just going to recite a mantra to invoke auspiciousness and blessings. If you could please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from the Bhagavad Gita, a very, very famous verse, which is chapter 11, verse 32. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Kalosmi Lokasya Kritpavado Lokan Smarutam iti pravarte Riti pitvam na bhavishyanti sarve yavista prati anikeshu yodaha. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people. With the exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain." There's a short purport, so I'll read. Although Arjuna knew that Krishna was his friend and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was puzzled by the various forms exhibited by Krishna. Therefore, he asked further about the actual mission of this devastating force. It is written in the Vedas that the Supreme Truth destroys everything, even the Brahmanas. As stated in the Katha Upanishad, Yasya Brahmascha Shatramcha Ube Bhavata Odana Mutta Yasho Pashashanam Ka Ita Veda Yatrasa. Eventually, all the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and everyone else are devoured like a meal by the Supreme. This form of the Supreme Lord is all-devouring giant. And here Krishna presents himself in that form of all-devouring time. Except for a few Pandavas, everyone who is present on that battlefield would be devoured by him. Arjuna was not in favor of the fight, and though he thought it better not to fight, then there would be no frustration. In reply, the Lord is saying that even if he did not fight, every one of them would be destroyed, for that was his plan. If Arjuna stopped fighting, they would die in another way. Death could not be checked, even if he did not fight. In fact, they are already dead. Time is destruction, and all manifestations are to be vanquished by the desire of the Supreme Lord. That is the law of nature. Just going to recite a small prayer to invoke auspiciousness and also seek the blessings of the spiritual teachers before us. If you do know this prayer, please do recite along. Om Jnana Tirimandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshiram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapanantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalan Shri Guran Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakansvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you once again everyone for joining today. the time is finally here to talk about time. So, as we all agree that all of us at one point or another, or maybe every day, we feel short on time. And so, in this verse, Krishna is saying that he is actually time itself. He is all-devouring time. So he's going to destroy everything via the medium of time. So in one sense, everything is coming to the end. Now, have you noticed that some people, they manage to get a lot done in a short space of time? This morning, His Holiness Swayam Bhaktivedanta Manor gave class, and he's written many books. And I sometimes think to myself, he is so busy. He travels to India, to Africa. He's back here in the UK now. Then he travels across Europe. He's constantly giving classes and lectures and podcasts and doing interviews and so forth. And then on top of that, he's a Swami, so he must give advice to people. And on top of that, because he's a Swami, he must do lots and lots of sadhana, or spiritual practice. And then on top of that, somehow he's found the time to write books, all these books. So I was thinking, how is it that some people can do so much with the same amount of time? Do some people have more time than others? Everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, right? So how? And how can we use the Bhagavad Gita to kind of extrapolate this and understand how we can maybe utilize time more effectively? So do we have anyone here who works in finance? Yeah? So what does, if I was to tell you PPI, what does that stand for? PPI. Payment Protection Insurance. Yeah, that's right. So today I'm going to talk about PPI, but not Payment Protection Insurance. So today I'm going to be talking about a different type of PPI with reference to the Bhagavad Gita. So I'm going to be talking about priorities, being present, and developing our intelligence. So that is priorities, being present, and developing our intelligence. So first of all, with reference to the Bhagavad Gita, I wanted to talk a little bit about priorities. So we have to understand why we are doing things. Because often, I don't know about you, but many times I feel like I'm running around, as the saying goes, like a headless chicken. Just doing things here, there, and everywhere. But actually in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 16th chapter, Krishna is talking about lower qualities or demoniac qualities. And in there, he says, those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. So this is a really key insight into effective time management. I'd like to share with you a short story which I heard in a class. So there was once a businessman, and he traveled to the Bahamas. Anyone here been to the Bahamas? No, I would like to go sometime as well. So Bahamas is very beautiful and lots of trees and a perfect holiday destination, perfect sunshine. And this businessman, he took a boat across so he got on the boat of a boatman. And he said to the boatman, he said, oh, is this what you do? And he said, yeah, this is my business, this is my livelihood. So then he said, oh, well, you should get 2 boats. And he said, well, what could I do with 2 boats? He said, because if you get 2 boats, then you can hire another person, and then you can make more money. And he said, oh, okay, and then what would I do? He said, well, then you can get even more boats and make even more money. And he said, okay, oh, brilliant. Then what would I do? He said, well, then you can form a company, and you can be riding people on boats across the whole of the Bahamas. He said, okay, then what will I do? He said, well, then you can float your company on the stock market, and then you'll make a killing. He goes, okay, then what will I do? He said, well, then you can sell your company and you can relax. And he said, well, then what will I do? He said, then you can just chill out in the Bahamas. He said, well, I'm already doing that. So sometimes in life we do so many things. And the point is, have we got an end point in mind? What are we actually trying to achieve at the end of our life? So with reference to the Bhagavad Gita, we're often actually taught that maybe to think backwards. So just imagine it's the end of your life. Now it's time, I know it's a bit morbid, but it's time for your funeral. People are coming in and out and you're watching this. What would you like people to say about you? Would you like to say, oh, you know, they had a lot of money in the bank, or they had such a nice car, or they had a nice house? Or would you like to think maybe actually people would talk about your character? What a great person you were, how kind you were, how you helped the community. And then now you look at the present day and think, am I working towards that endpoint? Or am I running around doing things which may not necessarily matter? You know, one personality who was very much a time waster for much of his life was a blind king, very famous king, Dhritarashtra from the Mahabharata. So this king, he was so attached to his evil son Duryodhana that he wasted so much time and so much energy doting on his son and fulfilling his wishes to the detriment of the whole kingdom. It came to his end of his life and his son was killed. And he'd wasted so much time investing and not seeing the bigger picture of what he wanted to achieve in life, and not hearing the advices of wise people like Vidur, that instead that he was lost at the end of his life. Thankfully, right at the end, he took advantage and engaged himself in a spiritual practice right towards the end of his life. So this week I actually had a near-death experience. I don't know if anyone here has had a near-death experience. So this week actually it happened to me. So I was driving on the motorway right close here to the manor. I was coming off the M1, doing 70 miles per hour in the middle lane. My car stopped. No power to the car, completely cut. So obviously then I started panicking. I started praying because there were cars speeding by on either side of me. And obviously it's very, very dangerous. You know, it could have even been killed at that point. Thankfully, the car somehow came back to life. Maybe Krishna brought it back to life for a few moments, and I was able to get the car off the motorway onto the side before it died for good. And so this week, I've just been so stressed and spending so much time calling different mechanics, trying to get this car fixed. Thinking, you know, and then I had a report done on the car, and the timing chain needs fixing, and the timing belt, so many things wrong with the car that need fixing. And I was calling, and no one was willing to fix the car. And I was worrying so much, spending so much time, so much energy. And then it was actually my wife who said to me, you know, we can make do with one car. We have another car. Why don't you just scrap this car? It's old anyway, you've had it for some time. And suddenly, I thought, yes, I've had this car for such a long time now. Why waste so much time trying to repair it? I can just get rid of it. And this is maybe, I'm just saying, the reason I'm mentioning this is because often we spend a lot of time on things which may not matter. We will spend so much time, so much energy, so much anxiety, and then we think sometimes we just need to let go of things and focus on what really matters. So this is the first point, priorities. So the second point I'd like to talk about today is being present. So there's a quote by the Dalai Lama. Is everyone here heard of the Dalai Lama? So the Dalai Lama once, he was asked, what surprises you most? And he said, man. The reason being that he spends he uses his health to gain money. And once his health is gone, he uses his money to recoup his health. And then he's so anxious that he's never living in the present. And then he lives as if he's never going to die, and dies having never really lived. So this verse in the Bhagavad Gita and this concept is basically Krishna is trying to say that our time could be at any point over. He is all devouring time. I'd like to refer to a pastime from the Puranas. So at one point, all the devas, all the devtas, and the Lord were meeting at Lord Shiva's abode. Anyone know Lord Shiva's abode? Which is Kailash, right? Mount Kailash. So all the devas were coming to meet there. And they were all arriving on their steeds. So anyone know what the steed is of Lord Shiva? What does he ride on? Nandini. Thank you very much. Yeah, brilliant. And then, so he rides on a cow. And then Durga Devi, she arrived as well. Does anyone know her steed? Yeah, lion. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so she arrived on a lion. And then Lord Yamaraj arrived. Anyone know his steed? Bull. Yeah, very, very good. Got a very knowledgeable crowd here. And then finally, Lord Narayan arrived. And he arrives flying in on Garuda. Garuda, right. So Garuda arrives, and he is obviously a half man, half bird. And he sees a crow sitting at the entrance on the gate of Lord Shiva's abode. But then he notices as Lord Yamaraj is going in, he frowns at that crow. And he's thinking, oh no, because Lord Yamaraj is the Lord of death. And he's thinking, oh no, he feels pity on his kinsman, the crow. So he's thinking, oh, I must do something because Lord Yamaraj is going to hurt this crow. So as all the devas and Lord Narayan go in for the meeting, Garuda Deva, he takes the crow and he flies with his powerful wings many, 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 many miles away and puts it in a tree. Then he thinks, okay, all is well now. Nothing will happen to my friend the crow. He flies back. The meeting is concluded. Yamaraj exits, looks up at where that bird was sitting and smiles. It's revealed later on that actually that bird, Lord Yamaraj reveals, was due to be eaten by a python in a tree many miles away from that point. And because the bird was sitting there, Lord Yamaraj was very upset. So the reason I'm telling you this is that often we try to control so many things in our life. And by doing that, we actually lose focus on what is right in front of us, being present. And because we spend so much time and energy not being present with what is right in front of us, we're neither living in the past, we're neither living in the present, we're too focused either on the future, we're anxious all the time. They say that if you're living in the past, you're depressed. If you're thinking about the future, you're anxious. So instead, can we try and not worry so much about what is going to come tomorrow, the day after, the day after? In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 2nd chapter, Krishna says, Karmanya ivadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana makarma phalahetur bhurmate sangostav karmani. You have a right to perform your duty, but you're not entitled to the fruits of your actions. Never be attached to not doing your duty, but never be attached to not doing your duty, but never think yourself the cause of your results. So, sometimes I know for myself, I'm always worrying about the result. So I'm running around putting so much energy into that, whereas instead, if we're able to just practice, do our duty, and not worry about what anyone may think, what the outcome will be, we'll actually be more effective in our time. I'd like to refer to a pastime of Arjun as he was training and completing his training under, anyone know who one of the teachers of Arjun was? Dronacharya, exactly. So at one point, the training had completed. And so all these amazing warriors had gathered who trained under Dronacharya. And he had a test for them all. So in a very far away place, very, very high up, there was constructed an artificial bird. And the task was to shoot the head off this artificial bird. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was called forward. And immediately Dronacharya says, what do you see? And he says, oh, I see you. I see the hills. I see the tree. I see the bird. Dronacharya says, put down your bow. You're not to shoot. The same thing happened with many, many of the warriors. And again, they were asked to leave. Then finally, who's the greatest archer? Arjun. He steps up. Immediately, he focuses his arrow, pulls back his bow. Dronacharya asks him, what do you see? He says, I see the eye of the bird. Nothing else. This is what I want to illustrate, is that, again, we're so focused on so many other things, what may come, what may not. But instead, can we just practice focusing on what we're doing in that moment, like Arjun was focusing, single point of attention. And by having this dedicated focus, we'll actually make more use of the time that we have. So we talked about priorities. What is the most important thing of life? What are we trying to achieve in this life? What would we like to be remembered for? And our actions align to that. We talked about being present and how if we're more present, we can be more effective with the time that we have. The final point that I'd like to talk about is sharpening our intelligence. So the way we can sharpen our intelligence is by connecting to spiritual knowledge. Because this allows us to see the bigger picture. I'd like to refer to a pastime from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And here Krishna is telling his dear cousin Uddhava about an amazing personality called Avadut. So at one point there's a king, he's called King Yadu. And he observes this young man walking through his kingdom. But there's something different about this young man. He seems extremely detached. He's very handsome, but he seems like he has no interest in the worldly things. And so he approaches this man and says, you know, I can see that you're very spiritually elevated. Why is that? How are you so detached? So the Avadut, the young man, he says, actually, I've learned on my travels from 24 gurus. So you can imagine, what are these gurus that he's talking about? Must be a row of sages with big beards and everything like that. But no, actually, his gurus, he explained, some of them were the earth, the air, sky, water, fire, the moon, the sun, a pigeon, a python, and so many things he's learned just from observing on his travels. So the king asked him to explain further, and I'll explain some of these. So the Avadut, he explains that he learned by observing the earth that one who is on a spiritual path must be steady, must be tolerant, and not distracted, because the earth is a symbol of tolerance. It gives so much and receives so much punishment from others. He said we must be like air, because air never mixes with bad fragrances that it receives. In the same way, a person may be subject to many, many different influences, but it must not be affected by those, like the air, and not carry those bad influences with them. He said we should be like a python, because a python lays and waits for its prey. It doesn't go after it. Just like that, we must also be peaceful and patient like the python. And finally, I'd like to say that in relation to what we were talking about in terms of focus, he came across an arrow maker who was so focused on making sharp arrows that he didn't even notice the whole king's procession passing by his house. So, in this way, if we constantly connect with spiritual literature, we can start to see actually all around us what is really important, define our intelligence, and see the bigger picture. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 8th chapter, Krishna says, Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartino jana mamutayatu konteya punarjanma na vidyate. The translation for this is, of all the places in the material world, from the highest Brahmaloka to the lowest Pittaloka, all are places of misery where repeated birth and death takes place. But those who reach my abode never take birth again. So what Krishna here is reminding us is that sometimes we think that we should be in a situation where we're always happy. Does anyone feel like, you need to be happy? Everyone's always saying, you need to be happy, must be happy. But Krishna is saying here that what to expect. This material world is full of misery, birth, death, old age, and disease. And instead, he explains what to do with this. So in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verse 14, Krishna says here, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception. One must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So instead, maybe don't try for happiness. Instead, if we can refine our intelligence, then when bad things do happen, we can ride these waves of distress. So happiness will come. We don't have to try so hard for it. But then also the reverse, distress will come. In 2020, something quite big affected the whole world. Anyone like to tell me what that was? COVID, exactly. So in 2020, we had our wedding plan. So we'd arranged a wedding at a venue, and we were expecting many, many hundreds of guests. So much planning goes into a wedding, right? So we invested a lot of money. And then February, COVID. No weddings allowed. We'd invested so much time, so much effort, so much Lakshmi, and so much was lost because of COVID. And then we were thinking, what should we do? What should we do? Then there came a very small gap. Does anyone remember when COVID was happening, where they were allowing weddings, but only 30 people? So me and my wife, we said to each other, let's just get married. So we arranged a small wedding in my parents' garden with 30 people. And honestly, that was the best experience ever. Better than any big wedding we could have ever had. I remember in the lead up, the wedding was on a Friday. And on the Monday, rain. On the Tuesday, rain. On the Wednesday, rain. On the Thursday, rain. And I'd asked the decorator, should I get a marquee? And she said, no, trust, it'll be okay. So the wedding was the next day. It rained for the past 4 days. And I was thinking, oh no, we're going to have a wet wedding. But then I woke up early that morning. I chanted my japa. And I said, whatever will happen, Krishna, it's in your hands. And suddenly, the clouds cleared. That day suddenly became extremely sunny. And big as it had been raining all week, the garden was looking extra green and plush. And then as we were getting married, some parrots flew into the garden and started chirping. And suddenly, as I was getting married, I felt like I'm not in my own garden anymore. And a lot of people said they felt like they were in Vrindavan or somewhere else. So the reason I'm telling you this is that sometimes, we're going through a lot of difficulties in life. But by connecting with spiritual teachings, we can start to see the bigger picture. And by looking back, we can actually see that sometimes when we went through difficulties, because something better was just right around the corner. And by connecting with spiritual teachings on a regular basis, we can see that actually, even though we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, there's a bigger plan in all of this. And we can see the forest from the trees. So we talked about PPI, payment protection. Priorities. What is the most important in our life? And am I focusing my time on that? Being present. That means having focused time on what I'm doing and not worrying about things which don't matter. We talked about refining our intelligence, seeing the bigger picture by connecting to spiritual literature. And I'd like to conclude with a small poem I wrote in relation to time. So this poem is called The Trouble with Time. So many things to do. my work, my family, my health. That's true. But what drives our actions day to day? And how do we perform them, come what may? Are we driven by happiness, chasing to feel good? Then distress comes along and we're completely shook. Do we lack focus or act out of passion? No planning, no precision, no thought to our actions. So perhaps when we say, I have no time, maybe, just maybe, the real problem is our mind. So I'd like to thank you all so much for listening today. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you for your time. I'd first of all seek your forgiveness for any mistakes that I've made today. And we have some few minutes, so I'd welcome at this time any comments, any corrections, or any questions. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So anyone would like to share? Yes, please, Prabhu.
You said to be a bit more present, get connected to the supreme teachers. So we at home we try to read Bhagavad Gita and we try to do that. You said you did your prayer on your wedding day first.
Yeah.
And you said I'm going to leave it with Krishna.
Yeah.
What would you suggest for somebody like us who just started to feel the connection?
Oh.
What's the best way to get started? Time or any prayer or get with Bhagavad Gita? Read one of the sentences and stuff like that.
Oh.
What's the right way to do it?
Wonderful question. So I'm just going to repeat Prabhu's question. He's saying that how can we get connected to this? There's so much out there, right? So many Vedas, so many Puranas, and how can we incorporate if we're just starting out? So little plug here. I'm running a marathon in August. I'm raising money for a charity called Food for All. So if you fancy sponsoring me, please do look me up on Facebook. But a marathon, anyone know how long a marathon is? 26.2 miles, that's right. So if I tried to run a marathon without training first and building up to that, I would actually do more damage than good, and it wouldn't be sustainable. So right now I'm running about 6 miles, and I'll slowly add little bit by little bit. If we try to do more than we're capable of at that present moment, then we'll actually do more damage. If I ran 26 miles tomorrow, I'd probably injure myself and I wouldn't be able to run the marathon in August. But instead, I'm slowly, each week, run one more extra mile. Like this is spiritual knowledge. So Bhagavad Gita is a very deep book, very, very deep, very, you can read it many, many times over and get new realization. So initially, if we're starting out, first what we need to do is just read a small amount. In the very first verse, in the very first purport of the Bhagavad Gita, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, one must read the Bhagavad Gita very scrutinizingly. Anyone know what this means, scrutinizingly? So read it. It's not there just like a story time, not just to read for the sake of reading. Try and understand it. So the spiritual process of reading is actually threefold. Shravanam, hear or read. Mananam means reflect or think about it. And then nididhyasanam, realize and apply. So when you're reading the Bhagavad Gita, maybe just read a small amount, but do it consistently. And it also says do it with the help of someone as well. So wherever possible, we have teachers here, we have courses. If you can connect to a reading group, that would be good. But just read a small amount first each day, but do it consistently. If you don't brush your teeth for one day, nothing will happen, right? If you don't brush your teeth for 2 days, nothing will happen. But if you don't brush your teeth for a whole year, what will happen? Probably need to go to the dentist, right? In the same way, you may not feel the effects of the spiritual knowledge doing it a little bit day by day. But by doing it daily, consistently, we'll feel more connected. So I hope that helps with you. Thank you so much. Yeah, you've got a question? Yeah, please go ahead.
So, when you said
very, very good question. So thank you. What is your name? Sorry? Neil. How old are you, Neil? 7. Can we have a round of applause for Neil? Only 7 years old. And look, see, he's spending his time so effectively by learning about spiritual knowledge. So Neil's question was, when I said the bigger picture, does that mean that, sorry, can you repeat it again? Something is going to happen?
The thing that has to happen that you have to do, that's in front of you. That you have to fight.
Yeah, so is something going to happen that's in front of you? The bigger picture, is something going to happen? Is that what I mean by the bigger picture? So what I mean by the bigger picture is actually, Neil, what I'm saying by the bigger picture is if we read these books, then we develop faith that even though something is going to happen in the future, we may not know what is going to happen in the future because no one can tell the future, right? But we develop faith that something better and bigger will happen no matter what is happening right now. Does that make sense? Yeah. Thank you so much for your question. Very good question. Okay, so if no one has any further comments or questions, then we conclude here. Thank you so much for your time. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hi Anita, how are you? Good to see you. So I work actually now for I've changed it. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, 4 years now. Yeah, that's right. Working at Avanti. Yeah, no, I've moved around a fair amount since then. But I work for a publications company, so it's mainly remote. But I just have to go in the office once a week in Old Street. But yeah, I'm like my title is like productivity technical specialist. Basically what I do is I just meet with stakeholders in the business and see how we can use technology to improve processes. Basically. And I'm a specialist in certain technologies in Microsoft, but it's okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm sometimes happy, sometimes like ups and downs. Waves, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Not so often, just whenever they ask me every few months, something like that, yeah. Oh, you have? Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm so glad. Yeah, we'd love to have you on some, there's some online discussion groups as well if you ever want to join as well, so I can message you some of those. I used to do that every Monday. So we do just the online reflective reading and discussion group. So yeah, how are your kids doing? Yeah. Oh my God. I remember when she was in Agra a year. Where's she studying? Okay. Okay. Oh wow, good uni, good city. Yeah. Oh, you must be very proud.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, please.
On television program, I have seen the nuclear button here by the president. The center of the button written that time.
Yeah.
Was it taken from what?
Oh, the quote.
No, the nuclear button press destroy the here by Donald Trump or other. In the center of the button written that time.
Oh, that time.
It's written this time.
So you know.
Maybe from.
Yeah, no. So you know the creator of the nuclear bomb. He used to read Bhagavad Gita. Have you seen that film Oppenheimer? Yeah. So the creator of the nuclear bomb, he actually read the Bhagavad Gita and he quoted this very verse. Yeah. No, he did. It's written down there. So that's what it's referring to.
The Hitler, the greatest destroyer of the humankind. In that time, he used to keep Gita under his pillow.
Wow.
Because he is the same person like Arjuna.
Yeah.
How can he destroy his own people, seeing all the world?
Yeah.
Questions, etc. How? Gita explained. Then he started the war.
Wow.
Just all millions and millions of others.
But he's just interpreting in the wrong way, right?
But even other religions have seen the great teacher, they also read.
Yeah, no, absolutely. your name from me?
Prasant Kumar.
Prasanna. So nice to meet you, uncle. Hare Krishna.
I'm from the same place.
Hare Krishna. Oh yeah, sure. So my name is Kamal Punchal. Yeah, that's right. So you just look me up and hopefully, yeah, please do connect and yeah, it'd be great. Yes, I used to give a class every Monday on Zoom. So I'll be starting that again in a few weeks. So yeah, connect with me there, and then yeah, we'd love to have you. What was your name? Aditi. Oh, so nice to meet you. Yeah, we'd love to have you on there. Yeah, come on, punch out. Yeah, take a look at it. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, you go.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. What's your name?
Come on, punch out.
So how do you say you have a Gita class?
Oh yeah, it's on Mondays. Yeah, that's right.
I'm on Mondays.
Okay.
School now. Are you in the same way?
No. Yeah. Right now I do one on Thursdays, but I'll also do a Bhagavatam class I used to do a Bhagavatam class on Mondays, which hopefully I'll start again.
What time was that?
That'll be at like 5 o'clock. But the Gita class on Thursdays is at 7.
From 7 to what? 7 to 8?
7 to 8, yeah, that's
How do I
right.
get on?
You can just message me, you can take my number if you
Yeah.
want. Yeah, and just contact
Because
me.
I'm with Sham. You know Sham?
What's his surname?
He
Okay.
does Thursday.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, please, so it's Kamal Punchal, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what I want to do is maybe finish this. I'm going through the books.
Sorry to hear that.
That's why the PPR is very, you know what I mean? We can hit that class.
Yeah.
Like you said, this world is crazy.
Yeah, it's a horrible place. 07 939 516 925.
And do you do YouTube then?
I'm interested. I'm just about to start a YouTube channel. So yeah.
Because you know, like the other guy said, I mean, I've been in this 1.5 years, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
I've been in the Java area for the Dhamma.
Oh wow.
You learn from these other classes.
Yeah.
It's not just that how you learn from the
Yeah.
other classes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
If he's working 6 months ago,
No, I understand. It's a horrible thing to do. Yeah.
last
So
time
sorry.
I had a horrible Christmas and my birthday was a few weeks ago. Now, my strong usually used to come in the weekend, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah.
Just couldn't get out of bed.
Oh, I understand.
This weekend I said, this is going to be a good Christmas.
Oh, brilliant.
70 miles ago.
Oh wow.
And then it rains to pick up. Service on Saturday. Okay, I'll text you.
Yeah, please text me.
Yeah, finish it. If you got time, I will ask you.
Yeah, sure. Hare Krishna. Yeah, sure. Okay. Oh, brilliant. Oh, sorry. No, sorry. I don't have the keys. Yeah. No. Yeah, sorry about that. Is there someone at reception? They usually have a set of all the keys. So they usually have all the keys at reception, but they're just not the best of them. Yeah. Okay, no problem. Please do. Are you still in touch with Ricky? Let me give me a call. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for staying as well. I appreciate it. I hope I didn't put you to sleep.
That's my move.
Oh, thank you.
Good stuff.
Take care, man. Hare Krishna. Oh, thank you so much. Right now I do a class on